Hello, everybody.
Hey, welcome back.
Welcome back. Welcome to Love and Money Live. We are so glad you're here with us today. This is going to be great.
It's going to be a good one.
It is. It's going to be a great one. You know, what happens when you just know you don't look at money decisions the same as your spouse? It happens all the time. You married your opposite, and opposites attract, but then what happens?
Opposites attack.
That's right. Opposites attack, especially when it comes to money. So today we're going to talk about in Love and Money Live what to do about it, what to start to do to start to get on the same page, but more importantly, to understand each other's differences.
Yep.
Really, really important stuff.
Absolutely.
All right. So we're going to go through 3 points today. Real quickly, just giving you some tips and ways to start to get on the same page. So we have 3 solutions. All right, you want to say the first one?
Yep. So solution number 1, identify and acknowledge. This is really important, especially due to yourself. Because if you're in a position where you can say, oh, okay, this money situation that's coming up, I'm going to identify some problems and I'm going to acknowledge that maybe it's going to create a little bit of tension. Then it doesn't feel so sudden. Then it doesn't feel like anybody's being attacked because you've identified it and you've acknowledged that it's going to be a problem.
Absolutely. You know, if you kind of cut off the problem at the pass, that is one of the best ways to make sure that there's not going to be an argument. Just simply saying things like, you know what, honey, I'm really concerned. Like, we look at vacations very differently, and we had our big vacation coming up. He looks at it from a security seeker, I want a total plan, perspective, and I look at it from adventure. I want a lot of adventure to go on in it. And so we knew that was going to be a tension point.
But what adventure is not is being lost in a big city.
That's not an adventure.
No, it's not.
That would not be fun.
Especially when most people don't speak English. That's not adventure.
That's not adventure.
That's miserable.
Okay, that's right. So that's why you like a plan.
Right.
But, so we knew that we were going to look at this vacation very differently. And so before we even planned it, we talked about that. We identified before we planned that. You know, let's say you like to go out to eat a lot and your spouse doesn't. And let's say this week, you know there's going to be some time when you want to go out to eat, and you know that your spouse isn't going to want to. Why don't you talk about it before the week and say, you know what, honey, I like to go out to eat. You don't necessarily. Can we go out to eat once this week? And that way, and I don't want there to be any arguments about it. So let's talk about it and just cut off the challenge, cut off the fight before it even happens. You know when there's going to be fights. You know your spouse well enough.
Yep.
That you know what's going to tick them off, especially when it comes to money decisions. So cut it off at the pass.
Yeah.
Super
Acknowledge and identify. Point
That's
number
right.
1.
I love that one. Now this one, solution number 2, predict and discuss. All right. So this goes a lot along the lines of what we just talked about in the sense of cutting it off at the pass. But predict it, discuss it. Now, let's say like birthdays. Like, I think the new year is a really good time, but before summer is a really good time as well. Just to say, you know, these are some things, you know, I like to go to the pool, but it costs every time we go.
Yeah.
You know, those kind
Or
of
even
things.
if like you've got a membership, you know, are we going to let our kids buy lunch at the pool? Are we going to do this?
Ooh.
Because summer gets expensive. Like I think a lot of us, like me, I just naturally assume, well, summer's going to be a little cheaper because we're not in school. We're not paying for sporting activities and other stuff. It's the exact opposite. Because suddenly the little people are home, or sometimes the bigger people are home, and it becomes expensive because, hey, Brian, because what happens is unexpected expenses come up, and that creates so much tension in relationships. I know it does for Bethany and I, because if the guys text me and I'm at the office and they say, hey, Dad, can we run to Taco Bell? My answer is, yeah, sure, go ahead. I don't even think about it, but then that creates tension for us later. So one of the things that you have to do in solution number 2 is make sure you're getting ahead of it. Predict it. You know the summer's going to be expensive. You know the kids are going to be spending more money than normal. Get in front of it, and it won't cause fights.
One of the things that a couple did that we were talking to, and they write down 3 predictions of the next quarter of where they think there might be money tension. So they each write 3, and then they talk about it. Now, they talk about it over a glass of wine, which we strongly suggest. But, you know, just getting ahead of it, because they have total opposite money personalities. And so again, that's how they get ahead of it. It's just kind of at the beginning of each quarter. Again, they just write down 3 areas that they're kind of concerned about each, and then they get it out. I just love that. So identify and acknowledge. So acknowledge the fact that you have differences, acknowledge that. But then solution number 2, predict and discuss. So acknowledge it, predict and discuss it. And you want to say the third one?
Yes,
All
I
right.
do.
You
But
ready?
I don't have it memorized, so
There
I
we
have
go.
to read it.
All right.
Okay, so number 3 is be patient.
That's right.
Now, this is something that I'm terrible with. I am the most
you are.
impatient. No, thanks. Just being vulnerable here. I am not a patient guy. And
not.
I don't know why, but I really have to work on patience. But we need to be patient with each other.
That's right.
And we need to be patient with these conversations. And we need to not get frustrated, even when you're lost in a city where no one speaks English. You have to be patient and just work through the situation. So I love that we're doing this because, you know, we're just kind of really getting into spring. Our kids are out of school 4 weeks from tomorrow. I can't believe it. Less than a month. And so, but being patient with your beloved and just knowing that they don't want to fight about money, they don't want tension about money, but you got to be patient and you got to work through the process because it's not going to change overnight.
Okay, so before we go through the final solution, final, I just saw this and I just have to read it. It's
Wasn't
so
that
funny.
the final solution?
Well,
Number 3, be patient.
Well, there's like one more.
Oh, a
one
bonus
more,
point?
a bonus.
Okay.
All right, bonus.
I did
like
not know that.
Okay, so before I give you the bonus, here's something that I read. So we don't want money discussions to be boring, but this one was so funny. This suggestion, we just had to read it. It's so funny. So their suggestion in order to not fight about money is to don't make money quite as boring. So they say money is a huge source of conflict for couples, but talking about it frequently as you would a mundane topic can take away some of the intimidation. So this is what they said.
I'm not quite sure that's true.
But this is what they said, to ask questions like, spur of the moment, like, how big is your emergency fund? That would be the new, what would we watch on Netflix? Stupid.
I've been trying to make sense of that since she read that to me.
That's so dumb.
And I don't get it. So
dumb.
yeah.
No,
Yeah.
money is, you have to be intentional with it.
Yeah.
You can't just spur of the moment talk about money stuff. That's going to start a fight.
Hey, when
Don't
do we
do
get to
that.
retire? So whatever.
So dumb, so dumb. All right, so predict your differences, talk about your differences.
Discuss them.
Discuss when you think some conflict's gonna come up, be proactive. And last but not least, bonus, make sure you know how you are wired when it comes to money. How do you think about money? And one of the best ways to do that is to know what your money personalities are, both of them. I have 2, Scott has 2, everybody has 2.
Get to know your primary and your secondary.
Hey, this was so fun. We were at CB Potts, a restaurant up north in the Springs, and we were just sitting in the bar area having some dinner, and 3 different couples came up to us that were at our Magnificent Marriage Conference. 3, and they all told us what their money personalities were. It was so cool, and how much it's helped them to have that as a foundation when they're talking about money struggles and money differences, and to have a label for it. So it's really cool. So go to themoneycouple.com and click on the free assessment that's right there, right on the front, and take that, and it will spit out for you for free your primary and your secondary. Be sure to pick up the money personality report too. Small cost, and it will really dive into the details of your differences. That's a fun date night too. Both get your report and read about your differences so you really understand. Super important. I would argue more important than the love languages. I would say, love language is super important. But imagine if you knew each other's love languages and you knew their money personalities. Whew, you got it.
You got
Love is alive. All right.
Wow.
That was weird.
It was a little creepy, but it's fine.
All right. Well, we're so glad you joined us today. If you have any questions or comments, please do so below. We'd love to hear from you. And we'll sign off for now.
As always, make it happen.